Okay, so we are 1 minute in. I know some people are still popping in, and I will just go ahead and get started a little bit about today. Today is your time, okay? I have a couple of plans, but as I learned on Tuesday, the best of my plans usually go out the window about 5 minutes in, and that's cool. That's what we're here for. This is why we're teaching this live. If we wanted it to just to be, static modules that you guys went through, we would put that together. But we want you to have time to be able to interact with each other, interact with us. We brainstormed the Sudowrite together. Because it's a marvelous, marvelous piece of software. But I think even the developers are realizing that we show them things that it can do that they never even thought that it could do when they built it. So we're a little bit explorers and pioneers. And we have Ahmed in the house today for a little bit. He is one of the founders of Sudowrite. One of the other founders might pop in, but it's going to be an exciting ride this afternoon. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I was going to go ahead and give you guys two files that I have made. Let me export this one real fast as a PDF. Yep, that will work, and that's in downloads. Okay, so the first one is the workbook that I gave on Tuesday. Now we're not going to work with the workbook today, but I think that it's a really good tool for you guys to have, because it's actually going to go through some of the major features of Sudowrite. How many of you ever feel like you're not sure if the feature that you're using is the right feature for what you're aiming to do? So you try a couple of them to see kind of what results you get. Yeah, I have felt the same way. So I actually have a metrics for you as well. I'm going to share my screen just on this PDF that I just gave to you all. Can everyone see that okay? Like it's big enough, or do you need me to zoom in some more? There we go. Can everyone see that okay? Good? All right, fantastic. So this is just a very basic metric that I've made that has kind of helped guide me. So the very first thing, the first trap that I always fall into when I'm working with Sudowrite as an advanced user is the game changes, and it changes for me writing what I like, writing my story, to suddenly I catch myself trying to make the AI write the most amount of words. How many of you fall into that? You get caught trying to make the AI write as many of the words as possible, and then you're like frustrated because you've prompted and you're like, okay, this is not efficient because I'm not getting what I want. And it takes me some time to remember I'm the senior writer in this partner. I was writing books before Sudowrite came into my life. It's okay for me to just type in Sudowrite. And I actually find sometimes I'm faster typing in Sudowrite just because it acts as a safety net underneath me. Sometimes I don't even need to use it. I don't even need to click a button about it, but just knowing that it's there, I don't feel like I'm alone. Does anyone find that that helps with their blank page-itis as well? That it just works as a safety net? Yeah. So if you ever find yourself getting frustrated, two things to remind yourself about is that you can always write those words. Your readers love you. They don't really know Sudowrite. They've never met Sudowrite. They love you. And the second thing is that Sudowrite can sometimes just help you be that safety net so that you know that you're not alone. So I created this metric based on how firm you are in what comes next in the story. So if what comes next is something very crystal clear, you know that Tom has to grab the gun from the front dashboard, slam the door, run up to the apartment, and then he has to duck a barrage of bullets coming from the police. That's probably easier just to write it yourself. If you have a very clear image in your mind about how Tom is going to escape these bad guys or whatever, you could just type it yourself. If you just have the idea of like, I know Tom needs to grab the gun and get to the apartment, but I'm not really sure how he's going to get there, then you could use the tool Guided Write. How many of you are familiar with Guided Write? And we're going to play with all these tools today. I just wanted to get an idea of who wasn't familiar with Guided Write or where to get it. Okay. Now, if you already write the scene of Tom and he has grabbed the gun and he's jumping to the apartment, and you just need to like fix a few things because it sounds too cliche or it sounds too expected, that's when you can use that rewrite function. And then the last leg of the what comes next, if it's foggy, how many of you are more of like the pantsers and you are more foggy when you're writing about what comes next? I'm a plotter, so sometimes pantsers and I we don't always see eye to eye or have the same story problems. But I found that authors I've worked with who are pantsers, they find that the best tools for them are expand, where they'll sometimes write what little bits that they know. And then also the write feature, where you can actually put key details in and you can give the AI a chance to just like go wild or stick really straight to your prompt. Okay. And then somebody's saying that they also want to learn how to plot. Yep. So that's the first draft. So that's the first draft feature, and we'll talk about that. So I'm going to stop by share. Any questions about the metric? that I put together for what comes next. Did anyone find this helpful for them to kind of figure out what tool is best for what they're trying to do? Okay. Anybody have anything that they still have questions about there? Okay. Oh, wait, I'm trying.
Sorry.
Yep.
I kind of wonder where like working from an outline falls on that. Does it depend on how specific your outline is, or?
Yeah, I would say your outline, number one, type it yourself if you know. If you don't know, I would pop that outline point into guided write.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if guided write's not giving you what you want, then sometimes you may need to do a blend of like write yourself and then using expand or rewrite to tool it.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and jump into Sudowrite. That's our favorite place to play, right? All right, so let's play. I think everybody wants to do plotting first. That's what I'm kind of getting from. That's the vote that I'm hearing, that everybody wants to do plotting and how do we get an outline? Is that pretty accurate? Oh, the describe, I would put describe in that where rewrite is if you're just trying to fix what you already have, because I think that that's a good tool there. Plotting would be great. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump into plotting, and here we go. So the way I'm going to work with plotting is I'm actually going to demo the thing that I shared in the Slack group. How many of you have played with the prompts I gave in Slack and maybe didn't get the results that you wanted? Anyone? Maybe you didn't see it, and that's fine too. I put together this thing that is, it is the simplified first draft method. That's what I've come up with. Okay, so I'm acting like we have no idea what we want to write, but we know we need to write something in the genre. Now, this is something that's, I think, more common with authors who are writing for a living, writing full time. Many of us write in multiple genres. We might have a genre that we absolutely love. We might have a genre that we just understand the tropes really well, and we're serving that readership. And so it's very important that we hit those tropes. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a summary first, and we're going to fix the details that you want. And I'm going to use the generic one and come over here. Now, in order to create this, what I'm going to do just to get us started is I'm going to work in one document here, and we're going to call this our prompt document to build it so that we can see it. There we go. That was a very strange thing, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes there's gremlins in the machine. So we'll call this our prompt section. And the reason I'm going to do that is because we're going to work with this, our prompt, and that way you guys can see it before I copy and paste it into first draft. I will also always copy and paste it into the chat so that you can grab things from the chat for your own notes so that you have the prompts that we're using. Yes, somebody says, as a former teacher, we always assume that technology will do something weird right when you're using it. Amen. It'll get it together. It was doing fine on Tuesday night. The chat is going pretty fast. I'm going to let you guys know if you really have a pressing question or something, you can unmic and interrupt, because I'm not able to read the chat as quickly as I'm doing this. There's more of you than I anticipated this morning or this afternoon, which is great. Okay, so what genre do we want to write in? Whoever tells me first, that's what we're going to go with.
Mystery.
Mystery. Okay. Did you have to be that hard? Come on, Liz. we'll do mystery.
If it was easy, I would have figured it out by now.
All right, we'll start off with mystery. All right, write me a novel summary for a specific genre. So immediately we are going to change this part right here for the specific genre. So I know Liz writes cozy mysteries. Do we want to do cozies? Everybody? Oh, we have a sci-fi mystery. Okay, Rebecca, we'll expand. We'll do a sci-fi mystery. Thank you for contributing. A sci-fi mystery novel. Now, I need a little bit of help because this is not my forte. What kinds of characters are involved in a sci-fi mystery? Is it like an intergalactic person is investigating, an intergalactic police force investigating, or do you do, a robot detective? Okay, so we're going to say involving a robot detective, do they have a human partner? Or are they investigating a human? Are they investigating another robot? What do we want to have next? Sure, human partner. And a human partner funny robot sidekick. We will add that in. Give me a second here. I will add that in. Investigating. What are they investigating? Are they investigating? I'm sorry that this is cliche, but are they like investigating corporate malfeasance? Are they investigating? I don't want this to be italicized. There we go. Human partner, a robot murder. Oh, robot exploded. Okay, I think we could kind of combine that. The robot was murdered by explosion. How about that? Investigating a robot murdered by investigating. Yeah, it's going to be a fun afternoon, I promise. Murdered by explosion. With specific backstories, names for the leads. And this is where we want genre conventions. Okay, so we need a comedic sidekick robot, right? We need three, I need three, what is it called? Like suspects, right? Three suspects, and motives for killing.
Do we need red herrings as well? Or do we not do
throw
that
it
for
in there.
regular mysteries?
We will attempt that. I'll probably put that at the outlining stage. So we're going to throw that in at the outlining stage for them to do that. You already have a robot. Sidekick should be a human. Okay, a comedic sidekick human. I'm cool with that. Do we just want to make the human partner comedic sidekick? Yeah, it will simplify it a little bit. The more complicated you make it in this first round, it goes. For killing the robot victim. And a, what do you call it? A guilty suspect? There's a word in mystery. What is it called for the person who actually did it?
Culprit.
Culprit, okay. And the actual culprit and why they killed the robot. The victim robot. That are compelling and exciting to a reader, and a resolution for the story where the robot detective, and the detective is a robot. Make it an android. Okay, that's a good call. So we're going to say that investigating an android murdered by explosion. This is something that the AI does get confused about because we're calling robot and robot. It may not understand the two different robots. For killing the android victim and the actual culprit and why they killed the victim android, the android victim. I should put it in the same. Yes, you could give them names here. I'm letting it give it names to see because it can do that. That are compelling and exciting to a reader and a resolution. And actually, let's do this. Let's have it write me 3 novel summaries. Okay. So we're going to pick the one that we like, or we can take pieces from the ones that we like. This is
Elizabeth, you need to fix your final Android. You said Android robot.
Thank you. Android victim. That are compelling and exciting to a reader and a resolution for the story where the robot detective and the human sidekick solve the case. Right? Okay, so I'm going to read it all out loud. I know this is complicated. I know we're doing a lot here. Write me 3 novel summaries. I teach prompting as do, what, how. So the do is the write, the what is the 3 novel summaries, and the how is everything we've added after that. So it is write me 3 novel summaries for a sci-fi mystery novel involving a robot detective and a human partner who is a comedic sidekick investigating an android murdered by explosion with specific backstories, names for the leads, we can take out that comedic sidekick human because it's gonna be confused. 3 suspects and motives for killing the android victim and the actual culprit and why they killed the android victim that are compelling and exciting to a reader, and a resolution for the story where the robot detective and the human sidekick solve the case. Pretty good?
Elizabeth, are you using so this is something that I've noticed with AI prompts, that it's important to either bullet or comma when you're making those requests. Are you finding the same thing as well?
I haven't played with bullets, honestly. I've only just done commas because I have found with it being natural processing language or natural language processes, natural NPLs, natural processing languages. I just speak to it like in run-on sentences and it's done well for me. So if you've had success with bullets though, that's really cool. And we can test that out. We could do this entire, we'll run it once and then we'll do this prompt as bullets. I don't know
Well,
how
it's not so much the bullets, but I guess I'm asking, are you finding that the commas are an important part of it
Yes.
as you're going through? Because it's telling it, this is another element, this is another element, that kind of thing.
It separates it out because as we all know, without a comma, like the eat, shoots, and leaves, if you don't have a comma there, it changes the context. Is the panda eat, shooting, and leaves, or and leaves the place, or does it eat, shoots, and leaves like bamboo shoots and bamboo leaves? So the commas I think are important. And the AI was trained on reading the language like a human would, and also trying to interpret the language like a human would. And we need commas. We are limited that way. Does that help answer the question?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, now I'm going to copy and paste this whole thing into the chat so you guys have it. Now I want you to notice it's only 82 words. I noticed some of the people who are trying to follow my prompts and they were kind enough to share with me their results because they were frustrated. They were like, I could not get a summary. You can have separate sentences here. We can test that out. I just always just run it as one sentence or as few sentences as possible. One of the things that they did is that they wrote a novel summary and then they were trying to get novel summaries. And I'm like, hey, you wrote a novel summary, trying to get more novels. It can't do that. It can only like iterate next. So you don't have to do this step. If you already have a novel summary, you don't have to do this step. This is just, I was showing this step off for people sometimes, if especially, how many of you have written in a genre that you've written like more than a couple of books in that genre? And you're really kind of like exhausted and you just need some new blood sometimes or some new invigoration for another idea in that genre. Happens to me all the time. Yes. So this is one of those steps for those authors. It doesn't necessarily mean that this step is for every author. All right, are you ready to rock and roll? So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to come into this other document here inside of my project. We'll call this the advanced class so I will remember. Yeah, I'm really bad about naming my projects, but I highly recommend that you do so because otherwise you just get a wall of untitled, untitled, untitled on your project screen. So we're going to call this the advanced class right here. And to get to my first draft, I'm going to go ahead and click this generate a first draft. And I'm just going to copy and paste that exact prompt that we had in here. And now we're going to click go. And we'll see if it embarrasses me because sometimes AI does. Remember, it's prompting. So sometimes you may run a prompt twice and it does the exact same. One time it fails and the next time it does great. Ooh. Okay, see, and now look at this. We're getting 3 summaries. It decided to make the names all the same. Yes, I did, and I will paste it again in the chat. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these. Summary 1. In a near future metropolis of technology and mystery, Detective Anderson and his pint-sized partner, Rob, take on the case of an android murdered by a mysterious explosion. Together, they must uncover the killer while struggling to decipher a peculiar recording left behind by the android before its death. As the investigation deepens, Anderson and Rob must confront 3 dangerous suspects, each with their own compelling motives for killing the android, and ultimately discover the truth of the crime. With their wits, tenacity, and a little help from the citizens of the city, the robot detective and his human sidekick will eventually solve the case and bring the killer to justice. Okay, and then the next one, we have Rob. They kind of come up with, it's kind of the same. They got motives of revenge and greed on this one. So this is where you could kind of piece together your perfect summary. Okay. This third one I'm seeing here, peculiar recording seems to fall through and they're left behind by the android, which that makes sense, right? That would be one of the clues that an android could leave behind is a peculiar recording. I'm kind of impressed with the AI for figuring that out. Kudos to the junior writing partner. After uncovering a peculiar recording left behind by the android, they must decipher its meaning and confront 3 possible suspects. As Anderson and Rob fight to uncover the mystery, they will discover powerful motives of revenge and greed behind the crime. So it picked up what it had in 2. With the help of the fellow citizens, the robot detective will uncover the truth. I think that 3 is kind of an amalgamation of 1 and 2. What do you guys think? Yes, no? And I kind of want, instead of a city of technology and mystery, I like the in the near future metropolis. I like that setting better personally. So I'm going to put this here in a near future metropolis of technology and mystery. Let's do that. I don't know mystery though. I don't know what that makes sense, but we'll see what happens when it plays with it. Okay, my vote is for summary 3. We try turning it into an outline. What do you guys think? Yep. Okay. So
Elizabeth,
bat-
add
Okay.
of future metropolis of technology and mystery.
thank you, Jen.
Oh, that's a question. Do we have to be that grammatically correct?
No, I have had misspellings in my prompts and it still did just fine. I've had all kinds of things. So the steps to generate the summaries are in the Slack group, but I will also make it available again as well. Like I'm doing them as we go. So the generic steps are actually right here. I'll paste them into the chat. And this is also one of the recipes that's in the Slack group. Okay. And we're going to work through all the different tools of Sudowrite as we're working on this project of the mysterious robot killer. Okay, so let's move forward. We're going to go ahead and do this. Now, I will be honest with you and say that sometimes an outline works better if we were to go ahead and name these things. But if we want to be the lazy writer a little bit, just so I can show how well it can do, I'm going to make it name things. So the next step in my prompt to do this is to create an outline from the summary. So my prompt here is down in the generics. I'm sorry here. We built this and then I had to create a generic one. So I'm gonna copy and paste this here. And we're gonna go back to our prompting. So this was the prompt for write summaries. And now we're going to do the prompt for write the outline. Now this is just the initial outline. Write a 15-part outline. It doesn't have to be 15 parts. I went with 15 parts because that's what Save the Cat has. Do mysteries have a different number of parts usually? Do we want to just do a 3-act structure? Do we want to do like a 5-act structure? Isn't mystery usually 5 acts? So you have time for the red herrings? Yes, no.
It works well for mysteries.
I'm sorry?
Save the Cat works well for mysteries.
Okay. So we can use Save the Cat. So we'll see if that'll work. For the first one, I'm going to try not telling it what outline it has to do. We'll do 15 parts and then we'll also do a Save the Cat run. Write a 15-part outline with the specific details for each part of the outline, specific details for each part of the outline for the following. And we know it is a sci-fi mystery. So I'm changing out that. I'm actually going to spell that out. Science fiction mystery novel set in a, what did our thing say here with the summaries? We had a near future metropolis of technology and mystery. Set in a, okay, and then I've got to go back because I've lost a word here. Okay, so that's the setting. Okay. Based on the following summary. We need to put that in so that it knows. And now we're going to put the whole summary here. And don't worry, even if first draft says, hey, it's too much, it'll actually read it up to about, I think the max I've seen it do is about 2,000 words, but I know that that's something that we're still trying to figure out what the upper limit is on. So I'm going to come back to this prompt and I'm just going to copy and paste in the entire summary that we decided we liked. And I'm going to write this whole thing into the chat for you guys. And I will also, the generic one is right above. Does anyone have questions about how I changed the prompting here? Did I put the summary and now I'm asking for a 15-part outline? And sometimes I find Sudowrite works best if you give it room to be creative. I know, it's very strange.
Is there,
oh, go ahead.
is there a reason to capitalize the outline? Like,
It's something I do because it makes it easier for me to see my do, what, how. And I also think that sometimes it works better if I have found that with AI, it works better if you capitalize certain things, that if you need to do a, like a variable type situation, it almost kind of understands it like a variable, and then we're working with that.
Okay.
Yeah. But also it's just easier on the human eyes to see, oh, I'm making an outline versus a summary.
Quick question then,
Yeah.
along those lines, like in Stable Diffusion and the other image AIs, when you use parentheses or multiple parentheses, it acts as a weight. Does the same thing happen here?
I'm not sure that I haven't tested that, but that's a good idea for an experiment. Have you done any testing with that, Ivan?
I have not. I just thought of it.
Okay, well, we will add that to the list of experiments to do in our Slack group.
Okay, cool.
Parentheses and wait,
Yeah.
because I think that that's a good idea. I will say though, I have found, and we'll find this later, double commands works well in Sudowrite. Sometimes if Sudowrite gets a little confused on what we're trying to do, if I double down on like this is for a novel, or I double down that this is for an outline, it makes it less likely to hallucinate into writing prose, because that sometimes happens with first draft. And I want to explain this, because when I put this in here, there's a chance that first draft will just start writing me the first chapter. And that has to go with the fact that first draft is really good at writing first chapters. So,
after summary, you placed a colon. Is it a colon? Is it a hyphen? You
nope,
use
it's a colon.
parentheses?
It's a colon. So it's telling it
Okay.
based on the following summary, and then there's a colon because we use colons to define. So remember, these are NPL, so I'm using the punctuation in the way that the AI understands punctuation that humans use.
So if we had a guide on what punctuation AI understands best, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, so I do include that in the welcome to the Sudowrite thing about the different prompts, and then we're doing this, and I will make sure to add some of that. I mean, a lot of this
Great.
is just, it's all new and we're figuring it out.
No, we love you, AW. Thanks for that.
We can do that on punctuation, or we can work together and make these guys together.
Oh, you're
All right, so let's rock and roll and let's put this in. Now, I can't do it in this document because we already did that. So I'm going to rename this summaries. And so I'm going to add new, and we're going to add a new document. I'm jazzed. You guys are giving me all kinds of ideas. Like, this is a lot of fun. Okay, so it looks like they've already changed the warning, so it doesn't warn you and say, hey, that's too much. So I already love our developers are so awesome. They really listen to us. I have to tell you, the developers of Sudowrite, if you guys give them feedback and they're able to fix it, they do it right away. They're fantastic.
I've never seen tech. Yeah, I've never seen tech advance as quickly, especially when we say, hey, we want this. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's there.
Yeah, it's Thursday afternoon. Here you go. So we don't know what the maximum number of words is here yet. We're still figuring out that upper limit. I mean, I remember the night that I got 2,200 words with a planet, and Ryan was just like, wow, because nobody had done the formulaic prompting yet of like, give me 10 planets with like 3 paragraphs of each one, and here you go. So it's a lot of fun. All right, so we're going to click go, and we're going to see if it'll do an outline. Here we go.